I will have to say, if this is the most eye-opening 50 minutes of our lives, we are getting the most out of those 50 minutes. Part 3 already, and we're about halfway done. We are in the time and attention portion. I believe where you focus is what you manifest kind of thing. And we will go from there.
How the quality chart of how our quality of our attention, okay, and again, this is in the aggregate, but it's created by all the individuals. How the quality of our overall attention as a species will affect our world in accordance with the principle of correspondence, which states, as goes the microcosm or the microcosmic units, so will become the macrocosm. Okay? So over here, we have a pure information stream. This is good information. This is information that is capable, that resonates with truth, and is capable of helping to develop wisdom or right action within the being. This over here, this is the poisoned information stream. Now, everybody's going to take in some form of a mixture of both of these streams. What the goal needs to be is to purify. Just like, hey, you take in bad food, you're going to have bad health. You take in bad information, the output through behavior is going to be bad. So you got to purify. Meaning, if there's valves here on the individual buckets, these are called the individual people, and they're all coming together with the quality of their water, right? What they're holding within their consciousness. And that's all going into the big pool called the world. Everybody's bringing their bucket to the pool, they're pouring it in, and then they're jumping in. That's the world. That's the quality of the world, right? The quality of this whole thing here is going to be based on how much poisoned, polluted information.
As offensive as it was, I think South Park nailed it with the water park episode. Yeah, you just have to see that one. Talk about a poisoned worldview.
It's going to be based on how much poisoned, polluted information was in your bucket compared to how much pure information was in your bucket. So there's valves over here. We got to shut this one off, this brown muddy valve over here, and we got to open this one up. Okay? If we do that, the world will be purified, and we won't be creating self-inflicted suffering. We don't do that, we're going to be swimming in brown muck and generating all kinds of problems for ourselves.
How are we spending our time? And what are we focusing on? Are we using our time and attention sitting in front of a screen, which is like being in a state of hypnosis?
I learned the hard way that I will have to put time and attention into the messages my dad's getting on his phone. He being incapable of checking them has left me yesterday was a huge bust. The doctor had tried to contact him, but he didn't tell me that. So I took him to the doctor anyways. They don't contact my phone, they contact his. And then he lost the check for his car. It is, honestly, I have neither the amount of time or attention I need to spend on him. Hey, but we're getting Tuesday off. That's a bonus. So we'll make the best of it. But it just hit me personally. Just the screen time. I got to spend some more screen time. I might have to actually start using the resources available to care for him. Funny enough. But no, that's just me personally. That's because I need to vent my real life over here. Mostly this is all a reason to psychoanalyze myself and figure out where things are, if I'm good. I don't know if I'm good. Spending this time with y'all is good, though. I will say anytime Passio comes up, I'm a happy guy. So, I mean, I think it's valuable information.
Spending our time. And what are we focusing on? Are we using our time and attention sitting in...
Yeah, the individual that recut the whole thing. Very cool. Nice. It's a much more polished presentation. Passio kind of bare bones when it comes to it. He just stand up there and yell at us. You choose if you want to hear it or not. I have to tell it to you. Who said I got to be happy about doing it all the time?
And what are we focusing on? Are we using our time and attention sitting in front of a screen, which is like being in a state of hypnosis? Hypnosis is the suppression of knowledge or spirit. Or are we dedicating our time to seeking wisdom, which involves gathering knowledge, processing it accurately to gain understanding, and then turning that understanding?
My point of contention is I hope we're using the screen time to grow knowledge. Not always. Some escapism necessary for personal balance as you're navigating the chaos that is society. But I would hope some of it, just like the other day, found out there's now plenty of access to information. You don't have to have the computer think for you, but you could have it all access pertinent information to grow your knowledge base, thus taking it to heart, internalizing it, having it part of you, wisdom appearing from all that as the days grow long and the path lengthens. You know, the longer you walk it, the more you might discover from it. Wisdom. I think. I don't know.
Or are we dedicating our time to seeking wisdom, which involves gathering knowledge, processing it accurately to gain understanding, and then turning that understanding into wisdom through right action? To do this, you have to read. People don't want to hear that, but reading is necessary. The ancient Romans had one word with two meanings. The word was libre. It meant free, as in not a slave, and is the root of the English word liberty. But in another context, libre also meant book. This tells us something important. They linked freedom with books. The word library also comes from libre, meaning a place where you can go to become free if you read the right books.
So let's jump into this is the heart of the presentation here. It's how natural law actually works in our lives. So here's the expression, and then there's a positive aspect to the expression, and there's a negative aspect to the expression. The first expression of natural law is known as, and again, this is what I call these things. And there's no hard and fast rules, it's just terminology. It's jargon to try to explain them in words, okay? The first principle of natural law I call the generative polarity, or in other words, this is the force or energy that we are using at the base level to start the process of creation, or you could say of co-creation, okay? We're co-creating the reality that we experience with the laws of nature. The positive expression of the generative polarity is love. This is not what many people think of as love, okay? It's not familial love. It's not relationship love. It's not Hollywood movie variant of love. It's not romance novel variant of love. I call love consciousness. Love is the force which helps us to expand consciousness and become open to truth if we are in it. If we are in that vibratory energy, we become open to truth. So here's what it looks like visually. I try to put a visual aspect to all of these concepts, okay? And people would think I'm going to put two people together kissing or hugging or something like that, okay? Love is inside each individual if it's present. It is this force that opens up our consciousness. It's the flowering expression of consciousness, okay? So how I word this is the positive aspect of the generative polarity, the first expression of natural law, is love. In regard to natural law, love should be seen as the expansive force for consciousness. It is the force which helps us to become open to truth and expand our awareness. Now, the negative expression of the creative polarity is the exact opposite of love. So people will automatically think, well, that's hate. And it is not. Because the thing that puts consciousness in a box and prevents it from growing and keeps it where it's at is what? There it is. Fear. Fear is the basis for unconsciousness. You cannot be unconscious of anything in particular unless you fear it. Okay, that's what shuts consciousness down. And here's my visual for it. Fear. I don't want to look at that. That's too horrible for me to contemplate. That can't be true. I don't want that to be true. That's all fear. Fear is the contractive force for consciousness. Fear is the force which influences us to become closed to the truth, and it is the force which ultimately shuts down our awareness. That's why so many people are unconscious, because they are fearful. They are fearful of the responsibility that comes with knowledge, and most of all, they are fearful of having to act based upon knowledge, because that requires courage.
The second stage of natural law, called the initiating expression, refers to the first visible and recognizable results in our lives after we set a process in motion. This begins when we choose between two core forces, love or fear. If we choose love, something positive happens. We become open to truth. Love is an expansive force that opens our minds to awareness and understanding. The result of choosing love is knowledge, which comes from accepting the truth. This is why knowledge is the first step in creating positive outcomes in life, and it starts with the openness that love brings. On the other hand, if we choose fear, the opposite happens. Instead of knowledge, we experience ignorance, which is the refusal to accept the truth. Fear closes us off from learning and awareness. The idea behind this is that understanding yourself leads to understanding the universe. The Greek mystery tradition summed it up with the phrase, know thyself, meaning that by understanding the microcosm, yourself, you also understand the macrocosm, the universe. The positive side of the initiating expression is knowledge, which improves the quality of our lives by helping us make better decisions. Whether it's understanding how a car, a computer, or the human psyche works, knowledge is the foundation for maintaining and improving anything. To create the conditions we want on Earth, we must learn. Learning and gaining knowledge are essential. Many people resist this idea, hoping they can create the life they desire without learning. But that's not how reality works. On the negative side,
Just as a refresher, because I don't think I'm just here exploiting other content. I bring it up now and then, but somewhere I should find them quick. Ange and I took like the Rich Dad Poor Dad course, and I ended up with notebooks full of notes. Ange is watching a true crime show. Now, she didn't take notes per se, but she went back and refreshed, made sure she knew everyone's name, put two and two together so she was following it. It wasn't just sound in the background. It was an incredibly interesting, what is it? The octopus murders. I think it's on Netflix. But what I've been hearing, what I listened to, I thought it was very good. And point is instead of it being mindless entertainment, we try to learn something. Like with the Rich Dad Poor Dad course, I mean, the title of, the whole notes section is kind of, how to succeed off evil. We learned some valuable things going through that whole deal. Yep. Find the guy who was the general his whole life, and then he's the CEO. Taxpayers are going to pay for that company. It's weird how that works, but it was like true every time. Instead of going, oh, their commercials are great, it's like, who's on the board? Where did they come from? How much insider connections do they have? Oh, wait, that. And that, to me, that's the manifestation of power and corruption that dwells within you, right? The problem with natural law is there's not a lot of things in place to stop immoral, unethical behavior, uh, borderlining on criminal. Because freedom, damn it, is tough. You know, the more dangerous liberty. It's true. It's true. But yeah, it was a lot of reading and note taking and going back and I've listened to the same Passio presentations 3-4 times over and over and over again. Why? Because I want to actually absorb it. That's why. I mean, I replace love with care. I think love is way too poetic a word, as I've said before. I care to engage. I care to take care of. I care to put into effort. That I think it works. But that's just me. And like you were saying with the expressions of it all, they're just jargon that he uses to explain it. That's but everyone loves love, but then I think they twist it around and
Many people resist this idea, hoping they can create the life they desire without learning. But that's not how reality works. On the negative side, ignorance is the refusal of truth, which stems from fear. People who choose fear avoid learning and remain closed off to truth, which prevents them from improving their lives and the world around them.
So here's what I put as the image for ignorance. The population that is hypnotized, that wants to keep paying attention to nonsense and trivialities, feed themselves tons of GMO food that is crap for the physiology, pay attention to distraction, entertainment, mainstream news and media. It's all there to just shut the consciousness down and keep people in a depressed psychological state and keep them in a state of psychological infancy. The negative aspect of the initiating expression of natural law is ignorance, or the refusal of truth. Ignorance negatively influences the quality of our lives because it negatively influences these decision-making processes that lead to understanding in every area of our lives. If you're ignorant about how anything works, you can't create the desired condition. It's just not possible. It's important to remember, again, that ignorance should be distinguished from nescience, which means not knowing because necessary information is not present or was unattainable. Ignorance, on the other hand, means not knowing even though necessary information is present because that information has been willfully refused or disregarded. And again, to keep us in ignorance, they don't need to hide the information anymore because it's not hidden anymore. It's out. And then once again, it's available at your fingertips for free if you have the desire to take it in. Now, the manipulation mechanism that is used is dissuade people from looking at it, provide endless entertainment, provide endless amusement, provide endless distraction, and say there's nothing to any of that stuff. That's just some old crazy religion that you don't need to understand. It's no different than any other religion, believing that natural law exists. So people will be dissuaded from ever looking into it, and they'll disregard it of their own choice. Thomas Jefferson said that if a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. Freedom and ignorance are antitheses of each other that can never coexist simultaneously. That is an impossibility in natural law. I'm going to put up a couple other quotes on ignorance. Samuel Adams said, "No people will tamely surrender their liberties, nor can any be easily subdued. When knowledge is diffused," that means it's everywhere present, "and virtue is preserved," meaning morality. On the contrary, when people are universally ignorant and debauched in their manners, meaning purely selfish and only worried about themselves, they will sink under their own weight without the aid of foreign invaders, meaning the society will turn inward on itself and collapse and destroy itself.
So I think because listening to something like this creates a little bit of guilt, which I think is funny because it's given as a public presentation. So it's like, well, I mean, you spark up those slides to create an entertainment hook to it all, to emphasize or add to the presentation. So, I mean, there is something to be said for information attainment. And if we're mixing some ideas present in the natural law in like music reactions for, let's say, over there on the normie side of it all, are you doing a bad thing? Certainly not try to sell them some music. Maybe sell them on an idea. But the bands, they do fine all by themselves. Really. That's their thing. Really, in the end, it's realizing that we have a choice. And we choose poorly on the regular. Me. I know all the time. Sitting here pounding the bull squeezins and chain smoking. I make poor life choices. I try to augment them, I hope, with some grasp of the other sides of reality. Well, I think so. I know I applied it in real life. Hey, all right. Oh, the hell of ironies. Running my mouth about the phone, and I just got off. It's been about 15, not 20 minutes, but it's been a bit. He's called me like 9. I got a record. He's called me like 9 times. I don't know if he knows the. I can hear him, but he can't hear me. I think his volume's all the way off. But it's. It's very frustrating. And just halfway to his house, so I'm sending her over there to check on him and get his phone fixed. We're just going to have to give him a regular, get a landline put in. This he can't figure it out. He just pushes buttons and that all happens in the middle of what I'm doing here. So that's why I share, because I'm in this spot where I don't really I should just be living with him, honestly. So the only time I'm gone is when I'm at work, and otherwise he's got to go somewhere, and he wants to live at home. So I do my best to facilitate that. Yay! That's where we're really at around here, is up to my eyeballs and dealing with my dad. Holy smokes.
Self, just based on the fact alone that the population is ignorant and they are ensconced in moral relativism and other forms of debauchery and just self-pleasure as their highest virtue, their highest desire. Socrates said that the only good is knowledge and the only evil is ignorance.
The next expression, known as the internal expression, refers to what happens inside us after we make a choice between love and fear, between accepting the truth or rejecting it. Once this choice is made, it begins to affect our internal state. This step is about how the knowledge or ignorance we've embraced impacts our consciousness. The foundation of everything is based on this initial choice: love or fear, knowledge or ignorance. These are like two sides of the same coin. One represents truth and awareness, while the other represents a lack of truth, or an illusion. Consciousness reflects truth, while unconsciousness reflects ignorance. Both are part of the same concept, but differ in degree: accepting or refusing truth. Once knowledge or ignorance is chosen, we move to understanding, which is an internal process. When we gain understanding by accepting truth and knowledge, the positive internal outcome is sovereignty. Sovereignty means recognizing that each of us is in control of ourselves, and we have the authority over our own being. This is described as an internal monarchy, where we are the sole rulers of our own lives. The term monarchy comes from mono, one, and archon, ruler, meaning we must each be the master of our own self. True sovereignty means no one else owns or controls us, and we don't have the right to rule over anyone else. Many people mistakenly believe they can control others, but in reality, each person is sovereign and responsible for ruling only their own life. Sovereignty is about personal freedom and self-mastery, and it's the positive internal expression of natural law.
So here's my expression, my visualization for sovereignty. It's somebody who truly has the light. They have the light at their disposal, they're bathed in it, it's flowing within them. Okay, and light has always been associated in different mystery traditions as knowledge. It's been a symbol that has represented knowledge. This is the person who has the knowledge and has gone through the decision making and filtering processes with that knowledge to come to an internal understanding that they are a sovereign being. And I have news for everybody, whether you know it or not, whether you are familiar with the term or not, every person here is a sovereign, and you can never not be. It is an impossibility for you ever to be non-sovereign. It cannot be done. Cannot be done in nature. Every single human being on this planet is a sovereign being. And we're going to look at what sovereignty actually means. The positive aspect of the internal expression is sovereignty, or what I call internal monarchy, meaning one ruler within. Internal monarchy, one ruler within. As a state of consciousness, sovereignty means that one has unified the three aspects of their consciousness, such that there is no internal contradiction between one's thoughts, emotions, and actions. We become a being that as we think, so we feel, so we speak and act. And there's no contradiction between those. We're not torn apart from within in this state of internal opposition amongst our own consciousness. Let's look at the negative internal expression for natural law.
Oh, okay, I missed the knowledge, ignorance, the way. Okay, I missed this slide, part 2, initiating expression. I thought they were part of the first one. No, it's very important. Did you get? Just so you know, take that in for a second. Now you can pause there or something. Okay. Back to. I just keep waiting for the phone to ring again. It's she gonna be a while, but he must just be crapping out.
Which is confusion.
Hey!
Now, confusion results when we are in ignorance. That's the emotional dynamic, the feeling that takes place within the individual. This is the lack of understanding. Confusion only happens in a lack of understanding. When we have not taken in knowledge, because we are afraid, we are in fear, okay? Ignorance results, and then confusion happens internally. So look, this is remember, here's the essence, that's the foundation. This is that first stage, that first building block that we called knowledge or lack thereof, okay? This is the second building block that we called understanding or lack thereof. This is true understanding when truth has been taken in and accepted. And this is the lack of understanding. Now, in that state of lack of understanding, we're confused. So there's no rulership within. Inside of us, there's anarchy, which means the absence of a ruler, not the absence of rules, which I'm going to get into later. Anarchy means there's no ruler, no master. So if there's no master inwardly, we have a big problem, because that means there's no self-mastery, there's no self-control, there's no self-discipline, and ultimately, there's no self-love. And that results in an understanding that we don't truly own ourselves. It would result in the absence of self-ownership, which is what we're experiencing as a species. That other people believe they own other people. This is what I found as a picture representing confusion. Someone who doesn't know themselves. Doesn't know themselves, completely attached to a ego identity. Their whole mind is all wrapped up. I believe I'm this businessman. I believe I'm this banker. I believe I'm this lawyer. I believe I'm this doctor. And that's my identity, and if something goes wrong with that, there goes my identity. There's who I am down the drain. This negative aspect of the internal expression of natural law is confusion, or what I call internal anarchy, meaning no ruler within. Confusion is the state of mind in which the being is ruled by fear and ignorance. Confusion could be seen as internal opposition within one's own consciousness. In other words, being torn apart from within in such a way that one's own thoughts, emotions, and actions are in perpetual contradiction with each other. A thought, emotion, and action are not in alignment. As we think is not how we truly feel and is not how we act. There's total contradiction and separation, no unity amongst those three aspects of consciousness. That's confusion.
The fourth expression of natural law refers to what happens externally, in society as a whole. When a large group of people share the same internal state, whether it's positive or negative, this collective mindset shapes the larger reality of the society. Society is made up of the sum total of individuals, so the overall condition reflects the combined state of consciousness of those people. If love is present, and individuals have taken in knowledge, understood it, and realized their own sovereignty through self-mastery, the result in society is freedom. Freedom can only arise when these conditions, consciousness, acceptance of truth, and self-mastery are met. It doesn't happen by magic or any other means. If people desire freedom, this is the clear path they must follow. There is no other way for true freedom to manifest in society.
This is what the picture I chose for freedom. This is actually from the cover of probably one of the greatest books I think that's ever been penned by human hands. And I'm telling you, you need to read the book, The End of All Evil by Jeremy Locke, if you haven't already read it. I think it's a great image that represents what freedom is about. It's not about my freedom, it's about our freedom. It's about freedom for all beings. And guess what? Our, when I say that in relationship to the earth, doesn't just mean human beings. It means all beings, including the animal kingdom. The positive aspect of the external expression is freedom, or what I call external anarchy, meaning externally there are no rulers. There is no condition of masters and slaves. So that's what anarchy actually means, the absence of slavery. Now, there's a negative external expression. And you can call it multiple.
Yeah, so that's the same thing as law.
No condition of masters and slaves. So that's what anarchy actually means, the absence of slavery.
You got a lot of grungy hippies and dope addicts that would argue that. A lot of anarchists who just want to burn. Now, I'm not saying they are. I'm sure this is probably more accurate. As a what it means. How does it manifest itself? I don't know. Car fires and graffiti? Just saying.
Now, there's a negative external expression. And you can call it multiple things. You can call it totalitarianism. You could call it slavery. I term it simply control. Externally imposed control. Okay? It doesn't mean, self-control. It means literally someone outside of your own being is trying to control you.
And I think there's my dilemma. I think we're always going to exist in a state of external control because you have to have everybody, we'd have to have a moral mindset. That's been talked about so many times. So the problem comes with the corruption and the moral relativism, the self-service, it's good for me, so it's got to be good. And then because of it, certain things just run rampant. We have to exist in a state of external control because people go nuts. Can't keep their hands off each other's shit, person, property. Attack at a spiritual level, physical level, across the board. We hate each other that much. That one's hurts to say out loud.
And own you. Control is the path, self-control. It means literally someone outside of your own being is trying to control you and own you. Control is the pathway to all forms of evil and destruction. It results when a society lives in direct opposition to natural law.
The fifth and final expression of natural law is about the manifestation or the results we create in our lives. This expression builds on the foundation of the previous elements: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Each of these components represents a level in a four-part structure. At the base is knowledge, what we know or don't know. Above that is understanding, how we interpret that knowledge. Next is wisdom, which is the application of knowledge and understanding to our actions. Currently, society is struggling because there is an abundance of knowledge, but very little wisdom. This imbalance leads to a situation where people are controlled and unable to create the positive outcomes they desire. The top level of this structure is the manifestation, which represents the results of our choices and actions. The outcomes can either be order or chaos. When we manifest order, we achieve the positive results we want, such as well-being and a lack of self-inflicted chaos or suffering. However, to create this order, certain requirements must be met. We need to operate at a higher level of consciousness, accept the truth, develop knowledge, and understand our sovereignty as individuals. Working towards true freedom is essential for achieving the positive results we desire in life. This pathway is described as the only way to attain the goodness and order we seek. It's important to note that the human mind often struggles with absolute statements, especially when it comes to concepts like always or never. People may resist the idea that there is a single truth that applies universally, as this can challenge.
Sorry, I like this part. We're going to rewind just because Passio spends a lot of time harping on he don't like blanket statements. So it's much more presented.
That the human mind often struggles with absolute statements, especially when it comes to concepts like always or never. People may resist the idea that there is a single truth that applies universally, as this can challenge their individual perspectives. Humanity's greatest fear may be recognized.
And then, fear. I would argue that when they're operating in fear, they actually have no problem applying a mob think, a group think, and grasping onto things. Honestly, I do. The absolutes. We're right, you're wrong. The world would be better if you were gone. I do. I think they have grasped that idea, but I don't think it's what's being presented here. I think it's the groupthink. It's the hive mind. It's so much lack of consciousness. And he's still trying to call me, but he still can't talk to me. Thank goodness Ange is on his way.
Especially when it comes to concepts like always or never. People may resist the idea that there is a single truth that applies universally, as this can challenge their individual perspectives. Humanity's greatest fear may be recognizing that the truth is absolute and singular, rather than subjective or personal.
This is what I viewed order as being like, okay? We have beings that are actually full of the light, and they're working toward a world that is based in freedom, cooperation, knowledge.
Sorry. Instead of that, we got a corporation influence us and like to share the world of Coke. Yeah, no, I've been around long enough to know where they manifested everything real. In the illusion of choice, in the lifestyle hook. You want to be like this. Hey, you want to be a cowboy? Smoke a Marlboro. You know, that whole thing. A lot of time and efforts went into replacing any sort of unity with turning you into a data point that can be calculated and manipulated. Weird.
Sovereignty, no control. It's what I call in some of my former presentations cooperative spiritual anarchy. which is the natural condition of humanity. The natural, meaning spiritual, natural condition of the human species that has been blocked from manifesting through mind control, indoctrination, fear-based, trauma-based methods. So that's what I call order, the positive manifestation, manifested goodness.
Yeah, and I'm only complaining about the manipulated advertising side of it. That's just to sell us shit. I wonder how much mind control actually goes into keeping us in order. Fearing what would ever happen by standing up, so keeping us essentially never standing up. Keeping you set, all of us, me included, in the, well, if it gets to my backyard, I'll take care of it. Well, no, it'll be way too late then. Yeah, no, you be a survivor or a victim, but you ain't, turning the tide at that point. You're just surviving it.
So that's what I call order, the positive manifestation, manifested goodness. It represents everything we say we want, and it only results when there is balance or justice. Justice comes about through adherence to natural law. Justice can only be present when truth has been accepted in our lives and our behavior has been brought into harmony with natural law. Cannot manifest any other way. That's the positive manifestation. The negative manifestation is the opposite of order, chaos.
Chaos! He finally figured it out. Same time she gets there. So now she's walking the dog, which the dog needs a walk anyways. And I'll compensate her quite well for her time and effort. But wow, what a morning over here at the old Reactions, Rants, and Rabbit Hole studio. Ups, downs, sideways is complete chaos. But things are back to normal. So
chaos brought into harmony with natural law. Cannot manifest any other way. That's the positive manifestation. The negative manifestation is the opposite of order, chaos. Chaos is manifested evil. I just put this as, complete disregard for other people, breakdown, me.
So where I get confused, I don't know if other people do, the chaos, which some of the, let's say, evil anarchists think is the way they want things to be, imposes control, which they create propaganda to convince people that that's order. Because you would get many a normie to argue with their signs in their front yard, I'm law and order. But really, they've been convinced that order is the right word to use when they meant controlled. Control and punishment. But if we all can't manifest good moral actions and unify under, within the light, then there'll always be a need to control and punish the immoral actions. We went too far because we do it by proxy. There are some rules in natural law that govern this shit, and we've decided we know better. But it is where it gets murky for me, because normies, right? In a normie world, the order is what they think they're getting through force and control. So, no! It means the work is really cut out for those spreading a message. And sometimes it's hard because it's so, in its purest form, it's information to be absorbed and possibly turned into wisdom. But as you're digesting it, a lot of it is hard to reconvey to the normie set. They're afraid, even if they don't want to live in a state of fear, they're possibly living in a state of fear imposed by the rules governing their controlled environment. And they cry out, they want order, but really they're crying out for control. So yeah, we put ourselves in this, we manifested the evil ourselves.
I just put this as, complete disregard for other people, breakdown, me first. Knock everybody else down, get what I want. Don't worry about anybody else being hurt. Don't worry about anybody else's freedom. Don't worry about whether anybody else's rights are being tread all over. Doesn't matter. Let me get mine. Self-preservation is the highest law. Survival is all that matters. Even if I have to step on somebody else to get it, to make that happen. Yeah, it's an animal. That's exactly right, sir. That's exactly correct. That's not a human being. That's an animal. That's how animals in the animal kingdom behave. Natural law doesn't work the same way for animals as it does for human beings because they do not have the same capacity for consciousness that a human being has. So let's not start saying that's the natural order. No, it is not. It is the exact antithesis of the natural order. The natural order is just that, order. It's in the word, it's in the phrase, natural order. What people are describing as the natural order through this utter nonsense concept called social Darwinism is, as I've called it before, psychopathic chaos. And break down that word. Psychopathology means an illness of the mind. Psychopathy is mental illness. Psyche in Greek means the mind. And pathology is an illness, sickness. Psychopaths are mentally ill, and they don't create anything resembling order. All they can create is chaos, which is why they want us to mimic their mindset, because they're just bent on hell and destruction to manifest, and they have to have our complicity and
at the core of my my hurdle right here. I mean, this is because I see that group as having to be must be dealt with, unfortunately. That they literally exert too much influence. It's been chaotic. Oh, and order comes from chaos in the last set of phone calls. Successful dog walk went on. She took care of business. Everybody had a little laugh, and things are kind of back to normal. But had to apply a shit ton of care to the situation to manifest the new reality. In a small way, it was all just playing out in the background of this reaction, which is weird. Because this is just the small portion of my life here. It is not the entirety, which is came up. And I'm glad to wrap this up today. We'll find something to do. I'm sure there's interesting subjects to cover on Tuesdays. And we got plenty of reactions coming up, maybe some comments. So let's see here.
resembling Greek means the mind.
Oh, yeah.
And
psychopaths. Yeah, every time it appears, it took a bit. Let's see. We're 48 minutes in. I'm an hour and a half in. There's why it always seems like I can't wait through one reaction to have a smoke. Now I've been here for an hour and a half of my day already because of love and care for y'all. Marty, I'm looking your way. We have to deal with the world run by psychopaths. That's sad.
Pathology is an illness, sickness. Psychopaths are mentally ill, and they don't create anything resembling order. All they can create is chaos, which is why they want us to mimic their mindset, because they're just...
So on the channel, this manifests itself in the creation versus destruction reflections in the reactions. But if you were looking for the cipher, the key, the Rosetta Stone to unlock the reactions to the fullest. Yeah, there are rants that are for sure laced with just natural law ideas, reflecting on either the bars, the lyrics, the whatever. Well, usually the words and the ideas. I can project my own crazy into instrumentals, but sometimes you need a little context there to work with. But hopefully, we've been mixing in some of these ideas the whole time.
Bent on
I hope so.
Hell and destruction to manifest, and they have to have our complicity and cooperation to make that dynamic happen. Our energy has to be given over to them by our mindset being made like theirs. Otherwise, their worldview can't come into manifestation, which is one of chaos and disorder. Chaos results when there is imbalance and injustice, which results whenever there is ignorance of truth and behavior which is in direct opposition to natural law. So that's our chart, and one last thing I want to say about it is that the manifestations or the expressions of natural law they're unilateral. They don't cross into each other. There's no such thing as, well, I've accepted the truth and I've developed knowledge, so now I'm in a state of confusion. It doesn't work like that. So you can only get to order through freedom, which comes about through the understanding that we are sovereign, which comes about through taking in knowledge of truth, and which comes about through staying in a vibratory energy of love or higher consciousness. The openness to truth. That's it. Same thing here.
Is why I believe the cremation of care exists. You can look that one up. I think that's a Bohemian Grove, Molochian, burning the effigy of care and doing their ritual. As always, we keep, why? Well, because let's say you followed the path here to sovereignty, but then you join a group who wants to head up the external control and manifest evil. I think that path does exist, especially by, let's say, the dark occultists. And that's the key, is they have to learn this part before they can really embrace this part. I don't know. I think.
And which comes about through staying in a vibratory energy of love or higher consciousness. The openness to truth. That's it. Same thing here. We can only create chaos when our society.
And then to use the some of the internet's own conspiracies, that's probably what the fracturing is about. So you can outwardly present love and care, but internally embrace abuse and control.
Truth. That's it. Same thing. Truth, and which comes about through staying in a vibratory energy of love or higher consciousness. The openness to truth. That's it. Same thing here. We can only create chaos when our society is bent on control, okay? Because we...
Then it would work out dual frequencies, fracture them, so they can vibrate at a level that looks like everyone else. But then also be kept in a I'm sorry, I had a couple things come together there all at once in my head. I hope that happens for other people now and then. Good material should do that.
We are confused when our society is bent on control, okay? Because we are confused beings that don't understand our sovereignty and think other people can legitimately own us or rule us. And that comes from a place of ignorance or refusal of the truth, which is based in fear. Can only manifest that way. Blanket statement, too. And I will not retract on that blanket statement because this has nothing to do with what I think or feel or my beliefs. This is how laws operate in creation. Not a belief system, not a religion, has absolutely nothing to do. I did not develop this. I came to an understanding of it by seeking truth.
That's it for today. This video will have a continuation soon with part 2, but until then, we recommend watching our video that provides an excellent explanation of natural law. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe.
Do all that. I'm pretty sure we found it interesting. I went that one step farther. I would go support the creator. They did a very good job of presenting that. Passio can, be Passio. Trust me, I sat through so many hours of them. My honey and I were just like every now and then on a road trip. We got one coming up soon, and it's always Passio. And we're just like, okay, it's been a month. You ready? Gonna get yelled at. We're gonna get, and then we just enjoy his enthusiasm and passion. That was very cool. The most eye-opening 50 minutes of your life. Well, we spent 55 minutes just doing the last 20. So I'd say put them all together, it was an experience. At least it was for me. I suppose this whole thing is like smoking weed with some weird friend anyway. So it could have been a good experience for you as well. Could have been. I don't know. I'm mostly playing. We'll be back later with more. Actually, sooner than later.